We wanted to use this opportunity just to give you a bit of an overview of our thinking for the DailyYonder PlaceStories system. It'll be part of a larger group of digital storytelling communities that we're operating under PlaceStories. One of the ones that we've built recently, and that's a bit of an opportunity to kind of talk about some of the ideas for DailyYonder, is Arts on the Map. It's a system for the Australia Council for the Arts, and it maps each of the 200 Australia Council funded companies and provides some tools for them to profile their role within the sector and to create digital content, digital stories that's place located, updating their programs into the future. And it's similar in some respects to our thinking for the Daily Yonder system because it's got that same combination of having profiling of members and also story content. So here's an example of what's currently working for the Arts on the Map system, with each of the red kangaroos representing one of the arts organisations, and some flash navigation that enables you to search that content. Here's one of the companies based out in the Northern Territory, and you can see it's got a small profile, just a bit of an overview of what the company's role is. And then the white kangaroos represent the stories that that company has published. This is an example of the little place stories, postcard stories that we've been developing. It's just a single image and just a small amount of text as like a quick update about a small project. And that's one of the tools that we've got in mind to adapt to the needs of the Yonder. So one of the big differences with the Daily Yonder project is to try and integrate that local storytelling that's happening with the Arts on the Map project with that national data analysis and statistical research that the Daily Yonder have been doing. Here's an example of what we're thinking. The special projects area has had a focus on rural healthcare, and so imagine being able to click through from the website to the Google Earth map to call up county level data and thin the statistical database based on that county level selection. Here's some information about per capita spending at a national, a state and a county level, and then be able to go through and seeing the local content and thinking about those stories.
78-year-old Jimmy Ladd recently fell and broke his pelvis.
I can't walk by myself, but I can walk with help.
He's getting that help here at Atoka Memorial Hospital in this Oklahoma town where he's lived most of his life.
Now, back here we're going to some other types of stories. Here's an example of a postcard story in this context, added by either another contributor or just a community member who might be using it as a way of commenting on the other content in the area. And then we're thinking you could also host all of the stories that have been created through the Daily Yonder site and locate them on the map. So here's an example of one of those stories with a précis from the website format, but a link back to the main site. Now, one of the other things that you could potentially do once you're back here on the Daily Yonder site is come back to the map with, instead of focusing on a particular county or a particular geographic region, a focus area like rural health. So here's a whole collection of stories that focus on rural health, but from right across the US. The capacity to then search those stories, play a tour of them, and see and compare rural health issues across different counties. Just a different way to look at that data set and a different way to approach it. The other mapping would be a mapping of the contributors to the Daily Yonder, whether they be journalists or other community members who are adding their own stories and content in. Those profile pages could provide information about a journalist's interests, some connections to their other stories, capacity to connect to them via email and some other information. So that's a quick overview of our thinking.